Working for someone else can go either way. You may have somebody who you absolutely hate working under, or you may have somebody who you genuinely absolutely love working for. If you do, more power to you. Now, if you don't, or if you've had bad luck with jobs that you've had before, lucky for you, in today's day and age, there are so many ways that you can make money other than having a 9 to 5 or working for a company. I'm sure a lot of you either have a small business or know somebody who is starting a small business or already owns a small business. You guys know on this show, we're all about empowering others, we're all about empowering each other, and me providing my opinion on things that I believe will help you guys succeed. So today I am talking about small businesses. If you have ever thought about starting a small business, or if you already are actively working on starting a small business, more power to you. I support you 100%. So today I do want to provide some insight because I have previously had a small business myself. Now, during quarantine, during lockdown, just to give you guys a quick rundown, I started a business training people. Now, I was training people in the back of my mom's apartment building where she currently still lives. I was living with her at the time still, and I was training people in this open area that we had on the back of the apartment building. Now, it didn't cost me anything to train there. Like, I didn't have to pay a separate fee. Like, I just happened to have that open space and I was allowed to use it. You don't have to spend money on, settling somewhere. You can start off small. You can start off on something that is convenient for you. However, if you do have an idea that you want to start, just make sure that you do your research for it. Make sure that you are prepared for it. Like I said, if you want to start a small business, no matter how outlandish it is, absolutely go for it. But don't just go into it without knowing at least the basics or more than the basics. So you do want to be prepared because you want to make sure that you have something to offer. I'll talk about my training in just a second, but I do want to say that the most important thing when you're starting a small business, especially if you don't have the money to advertise or if you don't want to pay for advertising just yet, is word of mouth. Word of mouth is so powerful and can be so good or so detrimental to your business depending on how it is used. The reason why you want to prepare and know what you're doing is because, if somebody's willing to give you a chance or willing to try out your product or your service, whatever it is that you are offering, the first impression is what is going to stick in their mind. So if somebody is willing to give you a chance and they're not 100% satisfied, that's okay. You can always improve from it, but that specific customer may or may not, want to come back to you. You want to increase your chances of having that person return to you. Now, they might also know somebody who was willing to possibly give you a try. And if they don't give them the best, review of your service or product, that second person might actually not contact you or think twice before they actually reach out to you. Now, going back to my training again, just to give you guys a quick rundown, I started training people because gyms were closed and because I had invested in money for myself to actually keep myself fit, keep myself active, So I already had the tools and I already had a background in training because at the gym that I had been working at the time, I had obtained a certification for training. So I figured, I have the equipment, I have the certification, I might as well use it. I also had experience in actually training. So I didn't go in, fully blind into it. So I was prepared myself. I didn't have to spend too much money on my equipment. I didn't buy everything brand new, and it was actually really hard. If anybody remembers, trying to buy gym equipment at the time, it was actually extremely hard. So what I did and what I recommend a lot of you to do is go on places like Facebook Marketplace, go on OfferUp. Like, people get rid of a lot of good shit. Like, people that just have no need for something, or some people bought something that they thought they would use and it turns out they never use it. Like, people sell some really good stuff on Facebook Market, OfferUp, Let Go, whatever other sites that you guys may have heard of, and they're not that expensive. You can find really good stuff for really good prices. So you don't have to go for the best tools or equipment, whatever it is that you need. If you want to do so, go for it, but check out those places too. You might be surprised by what you may find on there. When I first started training, I started off by training one of my friends. So I hit him up and I started training him. So I started posting that I was training him, and then the more people that saw that I was offering it, the more people that came to me and they started inquiring about my prices. So what I actually struggled with was to know how much I was going to start charging people. I didn't want to overcharge people because I wanted to gain customers. Now, however, I was putting my time and my effort and my commitment to these people. So I did want to be properly compensated. So I started off simple. Again, I started off with that one client. And then at one point, I did have about 11 different people training with me. So I wasn't doing too bad, and it was because people like what they saw, people like what they heard. But in terms of pricing, again, I always felt like I could have possibly charged a little bit more, especially knowing what other people charge. But I wanted to start off, simple. But depending on what the service is and what it requires you to invest in it, like not just financially, but also, like I said, in terms of your time and your effort. You want to make sure that you are compensated for that properly, because people might tell you that you should charge a little bit less, but those people weren't with you when you were actually putting in that time and effort. People don't know everything that goes into it. People just see the finished product. You know what I mean? So you always want to make sure that you are compensated properly. So don't be afraid, to charge what you believe is a fair price. Now, there is another side to it. So you, on your part, if you're charging what you believe to be a fair price, then you have to offer what is also a fair product or service. So you do have to make sure that you put in that time and effort to make sure that your service or product is of quality. Because if you're charging a price for something that doesn't match, the what you are offering, then it's just never going to work out. Now, I'm going to be bringing on later on in this episode a friend who actually started her own business and is actually doing very well. I'm going to be bringing her on. She actually started her own strawberry dipping business. Now, I'm sure there are other people out there that do strawberry dipping. I've seen a lot of pages on social media. So if you guys are interested in that, she will be providing a lot of insight on that, but also just providing insight on how she runs her business in general, which I think is helpful to any type of business. Now, me as a friend, I've consumed from her multiple times. I've ordered different products from her, for holidays, for celebrations, or just for personal consumption, and I've always been absolutely satisfied. She makes the most delicious treats that you are ever going to try, and I'm saying all this before she comes on, so that way you guys don't think I'm saying it just when I have her in front of me. But the reason I say that her product is quality is because your product speaks for itself. So this ties into what I was saying earlier about the word of mouth. If your product is absolutely 100% the best that you can make it, now it's up to people if they like it or not, but that it is honest work. Me as a friend, she is one of my closest friends. I absolutely love her to death, but I never once have tried to lowball her. I've never once have tried to use the fact that we are friends to my advantage to try to get her to lower a price. She charges what I believe to be a fair price. To some people it might be high, but again, I'm not there putting in the time. I don't know how much time and effort she put into it. So based off the quality that I consume, I do believe that it is a fair price. I'm happy paying full price, even though that is my friend. One, because I support her business, and two, because I already know, she already built that reputation with me and with a lot of her customers that what she provides is going to be 100% quality. You, as the person providing it, it should not be influenced by people that are trying to get you to lower your prices. If people are constantly telling you to lower your prices, or if you happen to have one person that's always trying to get a discount from you, always trying to use the fact that they are friends or that they know you for you to try to get them a better price, one, that person does not support you, and two, they're probably not even your friend. Because like I said, a real friend will support you and will want to pay for what you deserve. Now, if you personally choose to lower your prices, now that's a different story. That's something that I actually did with the first person that I trained, that one friend that I was talking about. I started training his brother as well. So we came to an agreement where I would charge them a combined price, so they would each be paying less than what I would charge other people. Now, that was something that I agreed to. That was something that I offered. Now, that's a different story, but not once did anybody ever try to push me to lower my prices. Having a small business is a very satisfying thing, and it's a very good thing, but it can also be a very stressful thing, because you get full control of everything, full control of how you manage your time, again, of how you manage your prices, of what it is that you do offer. However, the downside to it is that you do have to put in the time. you are going to have to make sacrifices. If you don't want to make this like your full time, if you're trying to start a small business and it's just a side project for you, that's perfectly fine too. Not everybody's trying to make this a career. Not everybody's trying to grow this to a very high level. It just might be some side money for you. It might be a little side hustle, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that either. But what you put in is what you get. Now, with that being said, it's really nice to be in full control when everything's going good, but you also have to remember that if you are the only person working for that small business, that you have absolutely nobody to delegate the negatives to. Like if something goes wrong, you're gonna have to be the one on top of it. Here's some good life advice for you guys, not just for business, but just very good life advice in general. You always want to foresee things. You always want to be 2 steps ahead, and you always want to prepare for the absolute worst. I know that sounds very negative at first, but let me explain. I like to always prepare for the absolute worst. Why? Because if the absolute worst comes, then I'm prepared for it. I'm not blindsided by it. So in your case, if you have a business and you are preparing for the worst, you're 2 steps ahead. You're foreseeing what can go wrong. You're not blindsided by it. So if you prepare for the worst and the worst does come, you know what to do. And if the worst never comes, then you never have to worry about it. You know what I mean? But at least you have that plan if that were to happen. Now, I know that sounds very negative, and I know some people are very big on not putting any negativity out there. Now, I am too. I don't like to put negativity out there, but I don't see it in a negative way. I don't see it as like I'm saying that is going to happen. I try to put a positive spin on it to where if something does go wrong, I have a solution. You know what I mean? I'm not going to let that, bring my business down. I'm not going to let it bring me down. I'm prepared for it. So I put a positive spin on it. And like I said, that applies in multiple things in life. I also have another friend who actually was my manager at the old gym that I used to work at. And she currently is having her own little business as well. Now, she does photo booths. I do believe she caters to all types of events. I think she does like weddings, quinceañeras, birthdays, personal celebrations, company parties. I do believe she does a little bit of everything. So I do want to get her on this show later on at some point. So hopefully she is able to join us. She's a wonderful person, great person to be around. I know you guys will really love her, but I do want to get her insight on her business. But for today, we got Nelly, and I promise she has a lot of value to offer. So stick around. So welcome back, everybody. As promised, I am here with my good friend Nelly. Say hi to the people, Nelly.
Hi, guys.
You may also know her as Sweet Butterfly Cravings, or you may never have heard about that in your life. But regardless, if you don't know, now you know.
And if you don't know, now you know.
Now, Nelly here is a good friend of mine who I've known for, how long has it been, Nelly?
Since 2018.
So way too long. We've known each other for way too long. But the reason why I brought her specifically on is not only because I love her as a friend, as a person, but also because she recently, it was during COVID, correct? That you started?
Yeah, in the beginning of COVID.
So during COVID, in the beginning of quarantine, I should say, is when she started her own business called Sweet Butterfly Cravings. Now, Nelly, can you tell us a little bit about what that business is?
It's basically like a chocolate-covered treats business, mainly chocolate-covered strawberries. I can do cake pops, Rice Krispies, pretzels, anything that involves chocolate, pretty much.
Okay. Now, how long before you actually started the business did you think about doing that? Because I know you used to do it just on your own, correct?
Yeah, I would just do it like say if we had a potluck, that's what I would take, like cake pops and stuff. And then right before I actually started, I did a sale for Valentine's Day. I don't know why, but I was just like, why not, And then that's when people started like asking more about it. And then it was during the pandemic where I was just bored. Since we weren't working, our job was literally closed for a whole year. So I was bored, and I started seeing videos of people doing like the breakable hearts. And I was like, I can do that. So then I literally just ordered all the materials for it, and that's how it started.
Okay. And in your experience, like obviously now, like you have a good amount of following on social media, which is how you promote your stuff. So I'll put the links down below, by the way, for Sweet Butterfly Cravings on all her platforms. But what do you think so far, besides taking that first step, has been the most challenging thing for you?
Probably just staying organized, because all that falls back on me. you know? Like I don't have someone telling me like, "Oh, make sure you're doing this, make sure you're doing that." Like it's just something that I have to do on my own and I have to figure it out on my own. So it'd probably just be staying organized, especially for like big holidays sales.
Okay. Would you ever consider having people work for you, or is this something that you don't believe to be either what you want or just not doable because of the way you run things?
I feel like not now, especially because I'm a perfectionist. So, say if I'm doing something and then I have you doing something else, I feel like I'm going to be busy looking at what you're doing, making sure you're doing it right, rather than just focusing on what I'm doing.
Okay. Now, the reason why I asked that question is because I've been asking for a job under her for about 3 years now. My application has been denied time and time again. But
You could be delivery guy.
I could be delivery guy. I have been delivery guy, actually. Haven't I? Didn't I deliver one of your orders one time to like Van Nuys or like Encino, somewhere like that? Like Balboa?
I don't remember.
Okay, well, this is how much credit I get from Nelly's business. But nonetheless, okay, so you talk about being organized. So obviously, like when you first started, did you feel confident in what you were doing, or was it more like scary, like trying to figure out or wonder if it was going to take off, if it was going to pay off, or were you confident from the start?
I honestly didn't know what I was doing in the beginning. Like I said,
Very inspiring, ladies and gentlemen.
before I actually like went on with my business, I just did a random sale for Valentine's Day, and it was Valentine's Day 2020. And it was like I don't even think I made profit because I literally just bought the stuff and it was just like, hey guys, I'm gonna sell chocolate covered strawberries. So yeah, I don't think I knew what I was doing in the beginning.
And at what point did you realize, okay, this is actually doable? Was or like something that is gonna work out for me? Because I know you also work with me still, so you do have another job. But obviously, like there was a point where you decided, you know what, this is worth my time. This is worth my effort. When do you recall when that point was?
So it was probably when I started getting most of my followers, and they came mostly from TikTok because I started posting on TikTok, and it was just like videos of stuff that I was doing. So I think when I realized that this was something that was more serious than I thought it was going to be was when I was getting more random orders than from people that I personally knew. Like it was just like strangers that I didn't know ordering more often than people that I actually knew.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, you know the drill. This is her first pause to make sure that everything is still recording. We're back from commercial break, ladies and gentlemen. So you were talking about how you were receiving random orders. Now, obviously, like you do have a really good following on different social media platforms, and you manage all that yourself, right? So if one of your biggest challenges is or was staying organized, how do you now manage to manage your social media accounts while still managing all your orders and making sure that everything still gets done on time?
Well, I'm still trying to get the hang of it, especially because like I gain new followers all the time, so it's not like something I get used to. But it's just like a constant thing running through my head. Like I wake up in the morning, I start doing orders, and I'm like, okay, I need to film content, and then after I film it, I'm like, okay, do I need to post it now or can I post it tomorrow or the day after? Like, and then I go, oh wait, I haven't posted the past 2 days. Let me actually post it today. It's just like a lot of things that go into it that I'm just still trying to get the hang of it.
Okay, so it's mainly you kind of just as it goes type of thing.
Yeah,
Like you don't have like a set.
I don't have a set thing, but we'll get there.
Okay,
Eventually.
no worries. That's actually a very good thing, or that I wanted to bring up, because Nelly, as she's been saying, is her own boss, her own employee. I'm not sure if you guys can hear all these kids running around. These kids decide to come out and play every single time that I'm recording. Like it's dead quiet all day. The moment I decide to turn on to record is when everybody comes
loud.
out. Yeah. So I apologize for that if you guys can hear them. But the point is, Nelly is her own boss, like her own employee. So everything falls back on her, and she doesn't have like the perfect system, but that's exactly what I wanted to get her input for. So what would you say to somebody that wants to start their own business, like their small business, no matter what that idea is, but are hesitant to do it?
I would say try to research as much as you can, Because, like I said, when I first started, I didn't know what I was doing. And when I had my first sale, I did not make much profit because I was just like, oh, I'm going to just sell it. But then, like, I didn't realize all that goes into it. So I would just say, especially right now that social media is a big thing, like, there's going to be plenty of videos where you're able to at least learn a thing or two from. So I would just say research as much as you can. And then once you, like, think you can get the hang of it, like, it all starts out with people that know you, you know. Obviously you're not gonna start getting orders from strangers right away, you know. It's all like getting the word out pretty much.
Okay. And did you start getting that word out through social media, or was it like word of mouth type of thing, or both?
In the beginning it was yes, word by mouth, but because it was during the pandemic, it was, I feel like most of the orders that I would get and the followers would be from social media.
Okay. And I don't really recall because I've been following Nelly on social media, on her personal social media forever. So what did you from the start decide to make a separate social media for it? Or I really don't remember if you were promoting on like your personal one first.
So when I did my first Valentine's Day sale, it was on my personal one. And then when I decided to like start making the breakable hearts, I posted it on my personal, but I was all like, oh, let me just make a separate Instagram for it because I didn't want to have like pastries on my personal one. So my business one was thought out pretty well. It wasn't like, oh, let me make one and then I started posting. Like, no, it had been in my mind for a while, and then I was just like trying to come up with the name and then my logo and all that stuff.
Okay. I know I helped her create the original logo. I remember that. Well, she asked me for my opinion and I gave my opinion on that. So credit to me. Now let me ask you this as well, because I know I've seen that you post like creations by other people that do the same type of treats as you. And I've seen other people post yours as well. Now, do you see like, because there are a lot of people that do the same like strawberry dipping business and like treats and stuff like that. Do you find that it's more competitive from other people? Like, do you feel like not negative feedback? Do you actually feel the support of other creators, or is it kind of like you fend for yourself because it is competitive?
It is competitive to a certain point, whereas in, for example, since it's Valentine's Day season, you want to be creative as you can before someone else kind of takes the same idea as you, because when people post their orders, they post where they got their inspiration from, you know. And say if I had an idea, but you know it took me a while to get it done, and someone else posts it, obviously when I post mine, everyone's gonna think that I was the one who copied the other person, you know. So it's all about like not necessarily, I don't think it's that competitive because we all support each other. Like, you literally can go through my DMs and there's a lot of girls that do strawberries, like commenting on my stuff, like hard eyes, or asking me questions, or I'm asking them questions, you know. But I feel like it's just competitive, like putting content out there, you know, making sure that you're ahead of the game in a way, you know, because people were posting Valentine's Day stuff even before Christmas.
That's excessive. Everyone,
I know. I was like, let's get one holiday over with and then we'll go on to the other.
Yeah, I have a lot to say about people who are way too early on holidays, but that's a different topic for a different day. Let me take this time to make sure everything is still recording. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Nelly, we were in the middle of our discussion. Now, I've also noticed, this is just from what I've seen on your social media, like a lot of girls ask you, like, oh my God, how did you get this? Like, color, how did you get this design? Like, how do you do things? And you're never one to, like, gatekeep anything. Like, you're always responding, and they're like, where did you buy these molds? Where did you get this and that? And you're always like, I bought it off of here. I paid this much for it. So do you think, is that, obviously you're just the type of person that is not one to gatekeep, but do you think that also ties into like being successful, like not trying to gatekeep everything for yourself and just be willing to help others and have others help you as well?
Yes, because I feel like when I first started, I wish I was able to ask those same questions, because since it is a business where you invest a lot of money, I feel like I've wasted a lot of money in the beginning because I was just buying stuff that I didn't even know, you know? Especially the one question I do get a lot is like, what size box, you know? And if you go on Amazon, I mean, I buy most of my boxes on Amazon, but if you go on Amazon, they sell them by like 20 boxes, 25, 30, you know? It's not like one box just to see if like 6 strawberries are going to fit in there, you know? So, and they're not that cheap. So it's like you need to think it out well because you're going to buy these set of boxes and then you're going to open it and there's going to be like so much extra room or, you know, the amount of strawberries you want to put in there is not going to fit. So it's like, oh, I just wasted all this money, you know? So I feel like I don't mind answering those questions because I know when I started, I wish I could have asked those questions. And I would in the beginning to some people and they would be like, oh, I can't, you know, answer that for you. Or they just wouldn't reply, you know? So I try to be as helpful as I can, but I also don't share everything, you know?
Yeah, that's understandable. Like, you don't want to share like every single little thing because if not, then everybody would be doing it for something that you worked your ass off like to get yourself, you know. So that makes sense. Now, I'm glad you don't mind answering questions because I got 2 more. One, how do you ensure the quality of your product? Like even just, I know you're very selective of even the berries that you get. Like you won't just get them from anywhere. So how do you ensure that? Is it just like you literally taste everything before, or like how do other creators tell you like, hey, there are good berries like from this vendor or this vendor?
Well, now like at this point, I can tell when the strawberries are good by their color and their size, you know. But in the beginning, I feel like I would eat a lot of chocolate covered strawberries because I would want to make sure that they were good. And then same thing with my chocolate. I've changed the type of chocolate that I would use probably like a good 4 or 5 times. So now like the chocolate that I use, it's a chocolate that I like and that everyone tells me that they like too. So I'm not just buying any type of chocolate or any type of strawberry. But like I said, at this point, I kind of know like what would be good and what wouldn't.
And the changing the chocolate, like, was that something that you just experimented as well?
Yeah, because there's a lot that goes into it's like a whole science for the chocolate. Because you have to find a chocolate that's easy to melt. You have to find a chocolate that when you dip it, like it'll harden fast so you can decorate. You know, you need a chocolate that if you were walking to your car on, I don't know, a day that's like 90 degrees, it's not going to melt from when I hand it to you and you walk to your car, you know? It's just a lot of things that go into it. So the chocolate that I use now compared to the one that I would use in the beginning, it is pricier, but it is better, you know? Mm-hmm. So the quality is better, and I feel like that's what matters most.
Now, I've always been vocal about Nelly's quality. Like anything that you guys order from her is 100% like immaculate, like the best treat you'll ever taste. But let me ask you this: like obviously quality costs money. So how do you go from like, because something that I struggled with, like I talked about earlier, like I used to be a personal trainer and I never wanted to overcharge because of the fear that nobody would be willing to pay that much. So how do you go about like being confident in knowing what, obviously like you have to make up the money that you spent, but how do you go about like knowing my product is worth this much? Like, and if somebody doesn't want to pay it, that's on them. But how do you go about being confident in that your product is worth that much? You know what I mean? Because I'm sure you get people that try to lowball you all the time.
Yeah. Yes. People are always asking for discounts. But I think even now, sometimes when I'm pricing things, I'm like, maybe I'm pricing too much. And then there's other people that tell me like, no, like it's fine. Like you should be charging more. And I don't know. I feel like I know what I like. I know what I do and what I put into it. And then people always give me feedback. So that helps a lot. But I wouldn't say I'm that confident, or else I would probably be charging more, honestly, because that's what people tell me all the time, to charge more. But I always think like, say you want to get something for your mom or something, you don't have, you know, all that much money. Like, I don't want you to be like, oh man, like I can't get it, you know? Mm-hmm. So I try to be fair enough, but I also like, know, like I've been doing this for 3 years now, going on to 3 years. So
and I'm still not employed by
um,
Sweet Butterfly Cravings, but
maybe in the near future.
we'll check back in and on a later episode. Well, Nelly, first and foremost, thank you for your time. Thank you for
having me.
Of course, it's always a pleasure. Now I got to drive you back home. But is there anything else that you want to tell the good people?
Well, just for anyone who wants to start their business, I would just say, just go for it. I mean, you don't know what's going to come out of it. I certainly didn't think I was going to get to where I am right now. It was literally just a little hobby that I was going to do while our job opened back up. But I mean, it got me this far and I'm pretty grateful for that. So I would just say, just do it. Like the Nike.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah, hopefully we don't get demonetized for copyright. But yeah, so what I took from this conversation myself is, don't be afraid to make those mistakes. Like, take those risks because, the reward will be worth it in the end. And also, don't be one of those people that is afraid to help other people out. Like, I've learned, not just in this particular instance, but in every instance, the people that are willing to help are usually the ones that get the biggest reward as well. So once again, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to the latest episode. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye, guys.